right, y'all. Greetings, everyone. Yeah, I want my hair to sit up. Greetings, everyone. Hold on, let me see if I can fix my hair for a second. Sorry about this, y'all. Okay, hopefully that's a little better. It's not doing what I wanted to do, but it's all good. All right, y'all. Greetings, everyone. Greetings. Welcome. Oh, goodness. It's another episode of T Gresh Realty, y'all. I'm your real estate queen. Got to do something with my hair. But anyway, the point of this video is not to talk about my hair. It is actually to talk about the Road to Housing Act. I know I haven't been on here in a while, haven't gone live with you all. I've been so extremely busy. But I wanted to come on here to touch bases and talk to you about this because I think this is important. Okay, so it's called the Road to Housing Act. If you don't know about it, I'm here to tell you about it, okay? So it says after months of back and forth between the Senate and the House, the two chambers reached an agreement on a comprehensive bipartisan housing package, the 21st Century Road to Housing Act. On June 22nd, 2026, the Senate passed the bill 85 to 5, and the following day, the House passed the bill 358 to 32. The final version of the bill largely reflects the previous House amendment to the Senate's 21st Century Road to Housing Act with a few notable compromises. It adds 6 sections only included in Senate legislation to date, with some adjustments including provisions to lift the rental assistance demonstration, which is called the RAD program cap, by 100,000 units, authorize the Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery program for 3 years, and authorize a new Moving to Work program cohort. 9 of the 12 community banking sections only included in House legislation to date were kept in the final version of the bill. The bill maintains the language in the House amendment restricting institutional investors from buying single family homes, y'all, including an exception for build to rent properties and the establishment of a renter outreach resource at the Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, for tenants of properties owned by institutional investors. Y'all know that investors, I don't know if y'all remember during this time, but when COVID hit, investors were buying up a lot of properties, and they still are. So, what that does for especially first-time home buyers, it makes the competition that much more challenging because they are competing with investors. Investors have some of them have a lot of cash because that's how they're able to close and make the offers and purchases. And first time home buyers might not necessarily have cash on hand to compete with the investors. So this is what this is addressing. Okay. Um, so I think that's a good thing. Let's continue to go on here. Um, These provisions and other material changes are reflected in the section by section summary below. The final bill incorporates provisions from over 60 pieces of legislation introduced in the House, Senate, or both chambers, 36 of which were introduced with bipartisan sponsors, including many bill supports by BPC and BPC Action. All right, so they have some type of chart and graph below. But let's continue on, y'all. So let's get into what they're talking about doing. They have section 101, which talks about reforms to housing, counseling, and financial literacy programs, which is there's a need for that. Clarifies the authority of HUD to evaluate the performance of housing counseling agencies and counselors, to require additional training, and to revoke certifications. Section 102, federal guidelines for point access block buildings. So it directs HUD to establish guidelines for point access block buildings to help states, tribes, territories, and localities permit residential buildings with a single internal stairway for up to 6 stories. And it allows HUD to award competitive grants for pilot projects testing the safety, feasibility, or effectiveness of single stair multifamily buildings sunsetting after 7 years. Section 103, exemption on construction or modification of residential housing located on an infill site. So it exempts Department of Agriculture, USDA, assistance for infill housing development from federal environment review requirements. Section 104, database of publicly owned land, requires all community development block grant recipients to publish a searchable, public, publicly accessible online database of undeveloped land parcels owned by the grantee. I'm a realtor, Tejas. You came here and it says Tigres Realty. Section 105, FHA small dollar mortgages. It allows HUD to establish a pilot program to expand access to mortgages under $100,000, which I don't even see mortgages for $100,000 or less anymore. Backed by the Federal Housing Administration, which is the FHA loan, with the pilot program sunsetting after 4 years. Section 106, temperature sensor pilot program. This creates a HUD pilot program for 3 years to provide grants to the public housing authorities and owners of federally assisted rental housing to install temperature sensors, encouraging compliance with temperature-related housing quality standards. Section 107, Housing Supply Frameworks, directs HUD to publish guidelines and best practice frameworks for state and local zoning and land use policies. Okay, and then they have here section 201, building more in America, increasing housing and opportunity zones, allows HUD to prioritize projects based in or primarily serving communities designated as opportunity zones for any competitive grants related to housing development or preservation. Section 202, Whole Home Repairs Act, creates a HUD pilot program to support state, local, and tribal whole home repair programs, which provide grants and forgivable loans to homeowners and landlords for home repairs and modifications. Reflects a previous VPC recommendation. Then they have Section 203, Community Investment and Prosperity Act, raises the cap on bank public welfare investments, including those in affordable housing and community development projects, from 15 to 20%. Section 204, addition of affordable housing construction as an eligible activity. Let me see, it allows funding to be used for the construction of new affordable housing. Section 205, better use of intergovernmental and local developmental housing act. This authorizes HUD to treat certain housing assistance as special projects to help simplify compliance with the National Environmental Policy Act. Expands HUD's authority to delegate certain environmental review responsibilities to states, local governments, and tribes. Okay, Section 206, Unlocking the Housing Supply through Streamlined and Modernized Reviews Act. It streamlines the review process for a broad range of federally supported housing related activities by expanding categorical exclusions. They also have Section 207, grants for planning and implementing associated with affordable housing. So this creates a competitive grant program at HUD to help state, local, and tribal governments, as well as regional planning agencies, implement planning and community development activities. These activities include updating regulatory processes, increasing capacity to conduct inspections, and coordinating housing development with transportation planning. Section 208, Innovation Fund, creates 200 million annual competitive grant programs for local governments and tribes that demonstrate measurable increases in housing supply, incentivizing reforms such as streamlined permitting, density bonuses, and zoning changes. The program sunsets after 7 years. Section 209, Accelerating the Home Building Act, provides grants to local governments and tribes to select and implement pre-reviewed housing designs such as accessory dwelling units. Okay, so these are ADUs. I don't know if y'all know about accessory dwelling units, but this is when you actually get another dwelling put on your land space. That's what that is. Duplexes or townhomes to streamline affordable housing construction with 10% of total funding reserved for rural areas and a 5-year window for adoption. Section 210, revitalizing empty structures into desirable environments. This is the Reside Act. It creates a pilot grant program to help local governments convert vacant commercial or industrial buildings into affordable housing, which is very good because there's a need for that in a lot of cities here in the nation. Prioritizing economically distressed areas and opportunity zones. Section 211, Housing Affordability Act, updates statutory maximum loan limits for FHA multifamily mortgages and reforms the formula used to set them. I think that's a good thing. Section 212, Rental Assistance Demonstration Program, lifts the RAD program capped by 100,000 units and extends protections for tenants in the RAD buildings. Okay. Section 213, Build Now Act, ties some localities' funding to their housing production, including bonuses for accelerating home building and small funding reductions for lagging grantees. Title 3, Manufactured Housing for America. Section 301, Housing Supply Expansion Act. This eliminates the permanent chases requirement for manufactured homes. It establishes HUD as the primary authority and energy efficiency standards for manufactured homes and requires HUD to establish minimum energy efficiency standards for manufactured homes. Section 302, Modular Housing Production Act, directs HUD to conduct a review of FHA construction financing programs to identify barriers from modular housing developers and administrative opportunities to reduce any such barriers and to initiate a related rulemaking. Allows HUD to fund a study on the utility of a standardized code for modular homes. Section 303, y'all, Property Improvement and Manufactured Housing Loan Modernization Act, increases the loan limits of FHA insured manufactured housing loans, adds the construction of accessory dwelling units as an acceptable use for FHA insured property improvement loans. So that's like if you have a manufactured housing dwelling and you want to get an extra unit built, it allows the FHA loan to be expanded to be used for that, okay? To put it in layman's terms. FHA insured property improvement loans and directs HUD to conduct a study on the cost effectiveness of off-site construction techniques. So instead of trying to buy another parcel of land, if you have a unit and you have land space to make another dwelling, then they're trying to utilize that FHA loan for that space as well. Section 304, Price Act, reauthorizes preservation and reinvestment for community enhancement grants for 7 years to fund the repair, the preservation, and improvement of existing manufactured homes and manufactured home communities. All right, Title 4, Accessing the American Dream, y'all, because the American Dream for a lot of people has turned into a nightmare. Section 401, Creating Incentives, okay? Creating incentives for small dollar loan originators. So this would help for mortgages of $100,000 or less. Like I said, I don't really see a lot of those type of mortgages anymore. Section 402, small dollar mortgage points and fees. It would require the evaluation of the impact of current points and fee thresholds on small dollar mortgage lending. Section 403, Appraisal Industry Improvement Act, reforms appraisal licensing and training, enhances standards for FHA approved appraisers, adds flexibility for trainee appraisers, and authorizes grants to support appraisal workforce development because FHA has more stricter guidelines when people are trying to acquire a residence, y'all. It has to get it has to actually go through all of the inspections, right, in order for you to close, because it's actually money that is funded by the government. Section 404, Helping More Families Save Act, authorizes HUD to implement a multi-year demonstration project that will test and evaluate an opt-out approach to the Family Self-Sufficiency Program, among other program changes. Section 405, Choice and Affordable Housing Act, aims to reduce delays in HUD inspections by allowing units financed through certain federal housing programs, the Low Income Housing Tax Credit, the Home Program, and the USDA Rural Housing Service to automatically meet housing choice voucher inspection requirements if they have passed an inspection within the past year. I think that's something very beneficial for anybody that's looking to utilize that. Allows new landlords to request advanced inspections, helping to expand housing options for voucher holders and incentivizing greater landlord participation in the HCV program. Title 5 program reform, y'all. Hold on, let me see, because I'm not reading through all of this. Hold on. All right, to put it into layman's terms, they're trying to make home ownership more flexible, okay? Homes are for people, not corporations. This restricts, all right, so this is Title 10, home ownership for Main Street America. So this is for restricting the purchase of new single family homes by large, and I think this is a very important one to point out. This restricts the purchase of new single family homes by large institutional investors that directly or indirectly own at least 350 single family homes. So the homeowner that or the purchaser, the borrower is not going up against these large investor companies because there's no way that they can compete. They're buying up all the properties, y'all. Provides exemptions, including for large institutional investors seeking to purchase or build new single family homes specifically for the rental market, and establishes a renter outreach research to help renters of homes owned by large institutional investors through landlord disputes. Okay? And there's more. I'm not going to read through all of that, y'all. What I can tell you is that home ownership should be attainable, especially if you're a tax-paying citizen here in America. Home ownership should be very attainable, and this is why a lot of realtors got together. Part of the National Association of Realtors went to DC and implemented all of these changes to Congress. So it did get passed through legislation, but they're waiting for Donald Trump to sign the Road to Housing Act. So I don't know if he's going to sign it or if he's not, or if he's going to delay signing it. From what I understand, he was going to have a ceremony, but he canceled it. So we don't know. It's up in the air right now, but hopefully this can change the trajectory of home ownership here in America. So I hope this has been helpful. I know that was a lot of information to take in. You can actually go to, what is it, gov.com or something like that. Let me see if I can find it for you. There is a link where you can find this, congress.gov, I believe, and you can look it up for yourself. Congress.gov is right, yeah. Congress.gov is where you want to go to find this. You can pull it up. It's called the Road to Housing Act. And so they're still trying to get this into place. But I think this could be a positive thing for the real estate market, y'all. Let me know your thoughts and opinions. What do you think needs to change for home ownership, home buyers, whether you're an investor, whether you're a first-time home buyer, second-time home buyer, whatever your case is, what do you think needs to change as far as housing is concerned? I particularly feel that people shouldn't have to be homeless out here. They even talked about the veterans um, in this Road to Housing Act as well, about them comparing the VA loan to the FHA loan and also giving them better education on the VA loan, because a lot of veterans are not aware that they can utilize their VA loan to purchase a home, and they don't understand how to utilize that loan, but they get some of the most beneficial loans out there, if you ask my personal opinion. So if you're a veteran, reach out to me, because veterans actually have loans that are more advantageous than the rest of the loans that I've seen. And one of my clients, he's a first time home buyer, closed with his VA loan. He got money back at the closing table, y'all. had never purchased before. But this is why this information is important, because a lot of people don't understand how it works. They don't know that they can actually become a homeowner, y'all. So anyway, I just wanted to say thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for listening. Consider, giving me a subscribe. Check out some of my other videos. I will have some other videos that I'll be posting. And remember, continue always to be the CEO of your financial future. How do I do that? My motto is create economic ownership by becoming a homeowner and being a business owner. Also, I wanted to say, what else did I want to say? Yeah, I lost my train of thought. So much going on. You can also find me on TikTok, T. Realty on TikTok. I have a video over there. Y'all just hit 72,000 views over there on TikTok. And then also check me out on Instagram. I go to localized areas and restaurants here where I'm located, and I just post it in case you're new to the area or you're moving here and you don't know where you want to venture out to. And also on my YouTube channel, you can check out some of the open houses, some of the areas. I will be doing more videos for you guys. Let me know if there's anything that you want to go over, anything you want me to, reach out to you about. I will be doing real estate with Tanito on Wednesdays, okay? Real estate with Tanito on Wednesdays. Usually I would do that at 7 p.m. I would do a live stream via Zoom, and we would do some type of topic for anybody out there regarding real estate, y'all. I know real estate is probably not the number one subject matter for a lot of people, but home ownership is very important for a lot of people out here. Thank you for the like, by the way. All right, consider giving me a subscribe if you like my vibe, share if you care, and if you like it, hype it, okay? I'm signing out, and until next time, haben Sie alles einen guten Nacht. You all have a good night.